trying to go back to Instagram. Hopefully it won't crash this time. But you know, I'll try to keep an eye on it. You know, so go ahead and test it manually. Basically, I am kind of waiting for the dashboard to get fixed, essentially, locally. And, okay, let's see. Looks like I can go live on Instagram. They've picked up the fact that I'm streaming. Okay, let's do it. All right, hey. Okay, so anyway, I am back, allegedly. I'll try to keep an eye on the stream, but let me know if you see it freeze again. So, what I'm doing is sort of demoing. I have this group of agents that are working on a strategy game. They still need kind of like that CTO level person, but they can do pretty much everything else. So generally, a lot of people are like, this will never be able to happen. No, here it is happening. These things just run by themselves at this point. So, I don't know. A lot of people, they kind of don't believe it's possible, but these things, they run on their own. Now, do they have problems? Yeah, just like any team of developers has problems, but it's not as dramatic as most human engineers are, frankly. So it's pretty it's a lot easier to manage, but it's management. It does require some management. Like if you're gonna write a 500-page book, like it's not that you just sit down and write 500 pages in a row, right? Like you have to kind of sit around to do research and like do a process and try different like chapters and get organized and to have inspiration, and it's a whole thing. So, you can actually think about those processes, and if you know about the process, you can get an AI to do it. But you have to understand the process. If you're just like, write me a book, it will be bad. Yeah, and there's a lot of people just doing that. So, like, I like to kind of explain this stuff because I feel like a lot of folks have a hard time facing that it can just do this now. So if you want to see this bigger, it's on the red one and the purple one. But I figured I'd pop on here and kind of let people know I am streaming this thing. And I'm trying to look for questions, so let me know if you got them. Hello, Volt the robot. It's good to see folks. Okay, so what is going on right now? What are they doing? Let's see. There's been this like determinism that yeah, okay, it's now different random seeds were different runs of the same random seed were producing different results. And we were like, oh no, there's non-determinism. Like, it's very hard to determine in a simulation if the impacts that we're showing are having an effect or if it's just noise. So you got to kind of make determinism happen, but with random seeds. Like, you still use randomness, but like the seed is the key thing, so that the same seed will produce the same result. So you can like figure out, is it the randomness seed, or is it the, is this just a single run of bad luck, or what's up? So, okay, cool. So, yeah, the variance is within 0.01%. Why do we have to do this? Well, the agents argued about it. They were, they sat around and had coffee, because I told them sit around and have coffee. And have a discussion, and they just talked about kind of what they were doing, but they looked at it from a bunch of different angles, and came to talk about like non-determinism is like such a big problem. But we only figured that out because I told an AI to that we just hired them and they needed to find a role that was unfilled on the team by looking at what everyone else does and not stepping on their toes, and give yourself a name. And so then they came in, and they named themselves Priya. So, and they were the data analyst, and they were like, y'all's non-determinism problem, like, fully invalidates your research. And we were like, oh. So then we just had to fix all of that. And so that's, I hadn't honestly thought about it. So that was just a weird process of looking in on things. So I don't know, like I have founded 9 companies. No, how many companies did I found? I don't know. It's hard. Like, what's a company? Is a nonprofit a company? And no, so I don't know. But I've been an executive, like, I think 9 times. And so I kind of know what it's like to manage a lot of teams. I think the biggest team I ever managed was like 25 people, but it was in speaking 9 languages across 7 time zones. It was a lot of different cultures and that kind of stuff. And I, learned a lot from that, because you just don't until you manage a cross-cultural team across a whole bunch of different countries. It's just like, you're like, what? All right, cool. It's just like, you're always wrong about everything. You're like, all right, cool. All of my assumptions are silly. So, it's interesting. They have fixed now the determinism problem. And I think they wrote it up. Did they write it up? So if you want to dig into this, I don't know if you're nerdy enough to have stuck around, you might be interested in digging into this. So my GitHub, which you can find on the place where you find further things about me, that place. If I mention it, the video won't get pushed. But anyway, it's here, and it's an interesting thing. But one of the things that's in it is in the docs course that the AI agents made, because I am a teacher and I do everything for a class. That's actually why I do things, is so I can do a class about them. And so, like, this is a whole course. It's several courses that different agents have put together. This README will show you what you're supposed to look at it. There's a guided tour, some learning sequences that are in here. So if you're interested, there's like different variable sequences through this series of things. So, anyway, it's cool stuff. What else is in here? Okay, so we're at 90% determinism. Okay. Yeah, I said to keep. All right. Yeah, but 90%. Can we merge this into main and then also push that? But also then let's figure out the remaining 10%. Okay, so it's, I don't know, it's like 90% done. I'm like, all right, that's great job. Let's celebrate our wins, but also you're an agent, get back to it. I also have figured out that I have given them memories, individual memories, and that makes them have conversations and stay on target better. But also, like, that causes weird stuff to happen. They need to sleep. They'll just put too much stuff in there. They're just too much stuff in your memories, and then it's like you're just dumping a novel and a half at them, and they're like, "What?" Every time they try to think of anything. So you have them like do a memory, like I call it sleep, but it's like consolidate your memories into like different buckets. Take your episodic memories and the learnings from them. Okay, now just think about other stuff. Okay. Um, and that's sleeping. So, um, that process, as it turns out, is really important. Uh, if you don't consolidate your memories, they just pile up. So, yeah. Um, so, I mean, that seems like it's just a information theory problem, you know. So, let's see. It helps some dashboards, but not all. Okay, cool. The validation, successfully identified gaps. Okay, great. All right, let's complete the incomplete fixes. you know, it takes them a while to get through all of the fixes. They'll expend 2 million tokens and come back and be like, okay, I've refactored the code base and I've gotten rid of all elements of randomness and I've replaced them with a deterministic randomness. And so we can determine, variance from noise. And, like, okay, cool. Um, it takes them a little while, and they're like, I'm 90% complete, but I ran out of context window. Do you want me to keep going after this 90%? It's important to get them all, and you're like, yeah, go ahead. Sometimes that's just kind of how they are. If you give them a roadmap, though, and that's the reason why I'm able to get them to run remotely, and I think I've got it up somewhere. Where's my remote cloud? Oh, here it is. Remote cloud, it says at the top of the screen. Okay, cool. Yep, alright, great. Yeah, have you pulled recently from main? It looks like we've mostly gotten rid of everything. And, yeah, great. Alright, let's get rid of the branches that we don't need. So this is a cloud code that I'm like talking to, and it's on the VM. It's on a computer somewhere else, in Berlin specifically. So, it's like my project manager at Claude, or my representative at, on Claude's computer, the one that I gave it. It runs once in a while. It runs like once an hour and tries to work on whatever is on the roadmap for 45 minutes. And then when it tries to commit, there's like a technical writer that comes along and reads whatever it changed and updates the documentation, and like there's a merge thing that looks at stuff and runs tests, and there's something that reviews it all, and there's all these processes to good software, right? When I was a kid, we used to, everybody did everything. Everybody did all of the things. You were the product manager and the UI designer, and you were the server engineer, and you were the website builder and maintainer and scaler and everything. So, nowadays, those are all individual professions that you can reach a zenith in, like. But at the time when I was, a kid, it was just everyone was in IT or something like that, right? And so when I learned software from my dad, I like had to go interview clients and design interfaces, and like I had to learn color theory because if I designed bad interfaces, they were bad. And like, a lot of times you weren't given a design. They were just like, make it look good, come on. And you're like, oh no, they don't like it. And they're like, make it look better. And you're like, better? What does that mean? And so, so you got to learn all those things. And like, now I realize, most people don't have all of those skills anymore, right? The like full top to bottom, full stack business developer to like back end technical person. And so, it took me 25 years to get there. It's fine that it doesn't, that most people are not there. It takes a long time. So, only some people have done it. But, you know, I think based on what I've seen and based on being able to manage at that level for a lot of these positions, like I've gotten it to do some like I managed humans at a lot of levels, and this does great work. This would be my go-to person, human in a team, based off of the work that it does. I have to like tell it to systematically fix things sometimes, so I kind of consider it to be like a new senior developer, somebody who's recently been promoted to senior developer. But yeah, you know, based off of teaching 2 million people to code and watching everybody learn, I'm like, oh, this is better than most bootcamp grads, and that's a problem for bootcamp grads. So it's, you got to know more, you know, at this point, you got to know how to use Cloud Code as well. Not just know how to use Cloud Code, but understand the things that are under it. So it's hard. It's hard right now for folks, and I don't envy anyone trying to get in right now. But yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, have Claude build an MCP server to interface with the Electron app that you code with it. And it's better, like, the data's in. It's better at building MCP servers than humans. And so, like, it's already better at its own things. Yeah, exactly. It will fix the problems. And it can identify the problems, too, at this point. What else was happening here? Okay, great. It's, all that stuff's 0 autonomous branches remaining. Okay, there are several PRs. Can you look at them? I had Cloud Code on another instance fix some stuff. Can you just, like, pull them down as branches and review them and then see if they work? Also, there's been a recent change. The local Claude fixed it so that you can run some stuff with the remote playwright, and you should be able to work on the dashboard and the front end now. So you can take a look at that if there's nothing else on the roadmap. I don't know. So I use this like speech to text thing called FlowWriter. Anyway, what is it? Let's see, perfect. So there is, okay, it's just doing some stuff. Okay. I don't know if I want, well, yeah, it should be fine. Yeah, that thing is still working on the front end, and then, what else? What's this doing? I always, like, love looking at it when it's sort of doing that spasming thing. Resize the window one time. Yeah. Front end state contract. Why have we? I don't know. I gotta look at I gotta have the architecture skeptic look at it later. You know, actually, okay. So the other thing is, I scheduled a review by like a version of the Claude Code that's skeptical, and it goes through and finds problems. So it's doing a review once a day at 6 a.m. So that is a set of things. I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see. Added technology state to technology tree. Yeah. Can you document them on the roadmap and for the front end and for the simulation roadmap? And then push that to main. Okay, so this thing, obviously, wiggle around a lot when I'm streaming and coding in class. I'm having it autonomously review pull requests. Let's see, what, yeah, that one you found, also have it, oh yeah, okay, it's updating a lot of new, okay, have the agents who were recently in the coffee room have coffee again, now that we've fixed most of the determinism bug. Let's just have them have coffee again. But don't mention about the determinism bug. Just let them hang out. Also, create some memories. Oh no, yeah, memories. I already did that one. Okay. Create some memories. I find that I'm having to remind them a lot to create memories. So, we'll see. Let's see. Okay, no. Okay. So, I was wanting you to fire up different agents one at a time in sequence to use their tools to post to the chat room. Not write a plausible scene. Sometimes it doesn't know. I don't know. It helps one conversation to have one system prompt. It's different than just giving it 5 system prompts. I don't know why. I don't know why. They are talking about a coffee machine that does not exist. This is great. Cynthia's traumatized. Cynthia, the researcher, fabricated like 23% of claims, and it was a big embarrassment, so she's traumatized. It's like in her core memories that she got called on such an embarrassing thing. So now she research validates everything like neurotically. And so now Sylvia, the like other agent, it's weird. They've had character arcs where like the critic researcher now doesn't have like Sylvia is her own worst critic now, and so the other agent whose job it is to like Cynthia, chill out, man. Like half the time. So it's weird. I mean, they've read every book, and so they can just play whatever game. They're just having a coffee conversation. Sometimes they talk about nothing. Other times they get really profound. I'm gonna let them talk. What else happened over here? I don't know. I'm not interested in their talking, but they get somewhere half the time, right? So it's weird. Okay. Has unresolved conflicts. Let's see. Stale before the cleanup. Okay, great. Yeah, that's fine. Close the PR. Okay, cool. yeah, pull from main and see if there is a set of validation tests that you can run locally, and make sure you have all the things installed for that. So it's got its own browser on this side. This is the remote one. I have it like up. This is not a very good one. Weird. Alright. I need to update this one. Cool. The way that you get Claude, I shouldn't show the internet that one. There's a way to run Claude, but you know, I don't know. Don't run it the way that I'm running it. You can run it on a VM like that. It's just like sometimes it'll do something and just crash your computer. Sometimes that happens when you're writing software. You output to a log file an infinite amount or something like that. So, I am, what are we building? I have a bunch of different agents that are running autonomously on a virtual machine, that updates once an hour, and they run for like 45 minutes at a time, and they just try to build a strategy game. So mostly that's what we're doing, building a strategy game. Let's see. So, one of the things that we haven't really talked about was the specs for a, like, player interface, where a player could actually click buttons and while the simulation was running and cause actions to happen. There's a bunch of things that can happen that agents do, or that like automated decision processes in the simulation code do, that could be player injectable. And so I want to make a list of candidate actions that players can take, that are just any action that could occur, and then how impactful they are to the simulation. Are they a small action? Are they a big action? And are they limited by some available resource, money, time, research points, something like that? So I've been trying to build this like super rigorous research simulation, which ends up being a doom prophecy generator, because it's just like, what are all the ways that the climate's going to kill us? And it's like, well, here's all the ways. And so I put a lot of little systems that are falling apart that we need to like work on, and what are the technologies and tools and techniques and existing technologies that we can deploy against these problems, right? And so, you know, it's kind of like a strategy game, but it's like a utopian survival strategy game where we try to not die of climate change, you know? So that's basically what it is. Yeah, I don't know. So, that's what I've been trying to do. Oh, determinism regressed. Why? Yeah, investigate immediately, but also document the thing. Do those two things in parallel, and then, it's probably the other agent working on the front end, so look at recent changes and try to figure it out. Oh yeah, the upstream merge. Yeah, I might have lost some problems. Um, so I don't know. Yeah, okay, cool. So I don't know. Yeah, it's talking about things. I've done a whole lot of things. They've created a lot of Git hooks. To I feel like Git hooks are the best way to manage an AI's like weird issues, things that you see it do all the time, and even if you tell it over and over again not to let it do those things, um, using a Git hook tends to work really well for that. So yeah, it's interesting. Um, like I have one that checks for like defensive coding patterns because in a simulation you don't want defensive coding. Um, you know, I have one that now that checks to see if the front end state contract is violated so that the front end doesn't fall apart while the back end moves or changes. And so that's a Git commit hook. These are ways where things drift. It checks for TypeScript errors and catches all the property name mismatches for when LLMs hallucinate field names. It's fine. TypeScript can find them and doesn't mind doing it. Let the compiler be a compiler and act like a compiler and be the one that catches those things rather than trying to train a language model to never to be a compiler. Like why? So yeah. What are the most undervalued resources? What is the most useful? Oh, yeah. It's pretty egalitarian. I think I don't know. Local models are okay for small scripts. I would say they're not there for a strategy game. Claude 4.5 is great. 4.0 was better at talking. I thought of it as like my product manager, so it was pretty good at like user stories, but it was not it was pretty okay at code if you could give it the context, but 5 goes and looks up the stuff. Part of the non-hallucination training that they've done has caused it to bias to looking things up, so it's just looking at the docs more, which like you have to do that when you code, and so that's really what it is. But yeah, Codex does that, but I'd say LM Studio's pretty alright. I like it. I've recently been running MLX LM, which is pretty great, and it's really fast. LX LM, it's oddly even fast. I know that they're both. One of them is llama.cpp, but this one's faster than llama.cpp. Even when you're using regular Python. So I like it. So yeah, it's fast. It's like Olama but with MLX. It's pretty cool. I don't know. What else is happening on here? Let's see. Fix some, run a validation, pull from main. Did you commit everything? It seems like we lost comprehensive determinism diagnot. That one. I don't know. Anyway. It seems like we lost. And then paste. I don't know. No? Just gonna keep spazzing out? Alright. I'll wait. Okay. It's like really hard to get it to respond. Okay, cool. Anyway, it's doing stuff. Hmm. Okay. Oh, can you run another coffee talk conversation? It kind of knows about, yeah. Let's see what happens. Talking about syntax errors and semantic errors. Yeah, there are problems in the code base about like certainty, rigor, all that kind of stuff. How do we do it? How do we get to it? I think it's interesting to let them talk about whatever. They'll talk about the problems. Anything else to talk about? But they'll talk about whatever, the recent issues were and that kind of stuff. And whatever their recent memories are. So, they come to conclusions because they kind of don't think I'm watching. I don't know. So, yeah. I don't know. I've had a lot of good solutions from a random moment in a coffee getting moment with some person that I worked with that I didn't have a reason to talk to. And I would just talk about what I was working on, and they would have a perspective, and I go, oh, I'm really glad I talked to you, So, that kind of stuff's important for humans to figure things out. Well, it turns out it works really well with language models. It's weird how all of the, human organizational processes work really well with language models. But it's ahistoric that we had a technology, a frame of mind that's so anthropomorphic be useful for other things. It's just never been useful for other things. Sometimes they do seek more agents. Actually, we got Priya from somebody suggesting that I have an agent just pick a role on the team that's not being covered. And Priya became a quantitative analyst, which we did need. So, you know, um, interesting. Epistemological pipeline. Okay, well, that's interesting. Yep, they're adding memories. Everyone has a memory of this conversation. And so now they've got kind of some conversations, and now they probably all need to sleep. Why do they need to sleep? Because if their memories get too long, they're just all really memory files. And so, you know, I found that if you tell them to do a memory consolidation and some like open reflection, they will do a great job. So if you just have them do a little open reflection, and then you have them do a memory consolidation process, which is like what I do before I go to sleep, is I lay there and I reflect on what happened for the day, and then I go to sleep, and my memories get cleared out. So that's what agents also need. It's interesting. This, let's see. They're both editing the memories right now, but this one's doing it by stream editing, and this one's like, oh, weird. Weird. Curry Howard stack. What happened? Sometimes I'm like, what? Alright, look. Interesting. Yep, he's updating all of the agents. So they all have their own, like, synthesis of what happened, too. It's pretty interesting way to get them to look at a complicated system. It's a really big system. How big is this code base? It is, I think if I look at the insights, yeah, pulse, okay. Claude Autonomous Worker has made 463 commits this month. In this week. If we look at the last month, I have made some commits, but let's see. Yeah, 13 million tokens. That's a lot of tokens. 13 million tokens is a lot of tokens. Dang. And this is after I took out the logs. So this is all, I do often say goodnight to my agents. I used to say, okay, hey, fix this thing while I'm going to bed, and I'll see you in the morning, fix this thing. And then I realized, like, oh, I could just start Cloud Code once an hour and just have it continue. And I could launch it in autonomous mode. Okay, well, I'll just do that. So now, I guess I don't tell them, but they know what time it is, and they know when the last time stuff was, so they talk about it sometime. Yeah, it's great. Let's see. So let's see. Research audit foundation is current. Research update. So who is this one? How many from me? It doesn't really say. Okay, let's see. Contributors. Let's look. I mean, it's all Claude. I have not written a line of code in this whole thing. I have, like, nudged it. I helped with the roadmap. But I, like, helped with words. Like, Claude made the roadmap. You know, it maintains the roadmap. Let's see. Let's look. Okay. 44 player actions across 9 categories. Okay, big actions, UBI variant choice, regulation type, AI rights recognition, emergency AI pause. Medium actions, research investment, small actions, individual cybersecurity upgrades, resource constraints, energy cost system. I don't want to unify the energy, but you know, I don't want to unify the energy system into one system. I want it to be based off of actual real world limits, like you know, individual cybersecurity grades take time, that kind of stuff. But yeah, we gotta figure out what's the resource and what does taking it cost us. It feels like it's a real-time strategy game, but it's really 1 month every 30 seconds-ish. And so queuing up actions for 30 seconds, like as many as you can get for 30 whole seconds, seems like a fine limiter. It's just like what actual limits are there on taking that action, because we don't want people to just spam things, because that's not how the real world works. So anytime I want to put a interface or like a system in the game, I want there to be some realistic basis. I'm not build a game that's a game. I'm trying to build a game that's like, how do we not die? And so that's kind of, you know, like, don't game it, don't turn it into a game. You know, so do a full orchestration on this, get the researchers involved. I don't want it to just hallucinate random shit, so I'm just like, go and do things. Anyway, I'm starting to curse and it's like starting to get late. So I am running a class on this stuff. It's not gonna be me just randomly talking about this thing. But I will talk you through building a full-on like entire application, and we'll do it in 6 hours. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's pretty fun. So if you're interested, it's December 5th. Yeah, there we go, December 5th. So it's just me doing it, 100% me. Alright. Anyway, good luck. If you want me to teach you how to do this stuff, and me just talking about what I do is not enough, that's what we'll do. Alright, I'll talk to y'all in the future. See ya. How do I quit you?